last week we learned, we were busy with this Sefer Torah Orem. What does it mean, Sefer Torah Orem, for that mitzvah? It would be a different mitzvah. That was the subject which we were discussing last week. This week we're discussing another subject. There's practical halacha, Kuf Mem Zayin, Sif Aleph. And there's practical halacha, and sometimes they even meet. In this shul, we presently have a Navi, Mr. Shem, we should have more, in your book. We have a Navi, and it's a very strange Navi. Anybody who sees this Navi realizes that there's something wrong with it. You go to any regular shul that has a Navi, and there's two Atzechaim on it. The one here in this shul only has one. You ever keep it in?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
So now, this is the Machlekes Shanu. Okay, whether it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. Now, everybody says that's very strange. Why do you have a Navi with only one Eitzchaim, right? So I have to say to all of you strangers that you're pointing a finger and saying strange, did you ever see a Megillah with two Eitzchaim? I just see a Megillah with one. You didn't see a Megillah with one? Okay. So Rashi has a Megillah with one. Now there's a Rashi has a Megillah with one. I'm going to tell you something that I guess this crowd that we have over here will be able to hear. Here we have Yeshaya. Right? No, I'm showing you because it's like, it's something you don't believe me, right?
Yeah.
Right, now you believe me?
So how do you...
Oh, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. There's a reason why you're here today. Okay? So, there's a picture of Rabbi Yashiv in one of these Vada Rabbanim pictures of him on something on Purim, some Purim campaign, and Mamish V'Nahapachu. They have the Eitz Chaim on the wrong side. And it was a big tumult. How could Rabbi Yashiv do such a strange thing? He put the Eitz Chaim on his Megillah wrong, until the truth was uncovered. Only you people here can appreciate this. The people that are 10 years younger than you don't know. They took a picture of Rabbi Yashiv, Lady the Megillah, a negative, and they printed it backwards. Oh. Okay, this doesn't work nowadays, right? No, exactly. It doesn't work. Kids, they don't know what a negative is, right? They positively don't know what a negative is. Anyways, so then we gave a big tumult until this was figured out that Pusha was holding, he wasn't holding anything backwards. He was 100%. What? The selfies backwards. That's right. That's right. We'll be backwards. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. You got me. Yeah. All right. I'm not such a selfish guy, I guess. What can I say? anyways, so there's a Makairos de Muktamois that a Navi only supposed to have one. But there are reasons for a Navi to have two, and we're going to discuss them tonight. So I didn't make this Navi. This Navi that's here is on load. In English, say don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You know what that means, don't look a gift horse in the mouth? You heard the expression? No. You heard the expression? Mm-hmm. You know what it means? Well, what do you mean look a gift horse in the mouth? You know what it means? Well, I'll tell you what it means. Horses, when you want your horse to be good, so the way you bribe a horse is with sugar. You don't keep the sugar. But sugar is not good for the teeth. Gil isn't here tonight, so I could say a word, place it in the dentist. And if you got a gift horse. So one of the things you want a horse, you want to make sure that his teeth are good. It's important to kuda. But when I gave you a horse for free, Zalom Matin, that you go and check it out, you know what I mean? You're giving me a car, let me check out the tires. Oh, just take the car and run, right? That's what it means. Don't look at a gift horse. That's where it comes from. So we have this Navi, this way it was given to us, and that's the way it is. It has nothing to do with what I would say. It's not the shul. Just making a disclaimer. Okay, so when we have it on record. I wasn't asked, so we got it. The source is to say it should be like that. As I say with my father, we would say, "Shoin," as they eat us. That's the end. All right. Anyways, that doesn't mean what the next one will be like. Anyways, so you're not allowed to hold the Sefer Torah, believe mit pachas. V'yesh oimim dehu adin sharkis v'akodesh. You're not allowed to hold them directly. V'loi nagukei. V'toiv lahachmer. Im loi nata yod. If you wash your hands, then you can touch them because you have to have yadayim nekiyos. With the Sefer Torah, if you chayigav na'aser, you can't touch them. So now, what's the halacha about shar sforim? Should you touch them? You shouldn't. But the minig is to make them.
And especially if it has one, you have no choice. Because one, it's
so that's why those who say to have two. Yeah. Because people can't control themselves. If you be able to control it.
In Megillah, you're told to fold it so it's like a gerah, so then you have to touch it.
So that's true. Anytime, that's a special din. Megillah has all special din also. Megillah is the Talmid Yadayim or not, it's the whole sugi in the Gemara. Because there's a question whether that has a halacha of kisei kodesh or not. But any time that the halacha says to do it, this is a nekuda of respect for the, gezeras respect for the kisei kodesh. If you're doing it for that, so it needs it, then that would be 100%. Okay, which we learned already about that last week. Thank you for bringing that up. Gadol sheba'osom shekaro b'Torah, gadol. Who is supposed to do Kalila? The Gadol. Regilim l'knoisav v'dav yikarim. V'chaviv hamitzvah. Fascinating lashon. We sell it expensive, not because we're trying to make money. That's all looking at you. Now we're trying to make money because we want you to know that it's valuable. What? Oh, so we'll see in a minute. What is Cleveland? We'll see that. So we're going to get to that in a minute. Okay. Now, let's see the Mishabura over here, and then we get
Scheinberg used to come to Muncie. He stayed by Rabbi Haber, and they would daven in shul in his house, Rabbi Haber's house.
In shul in his house.
In his house. They daven in his house, and they would always have a very, very tiny Sefer Torah. Okay. And Rabbi Scheinberg always did Hagbah.
You never got an Aliyah?
No, he didn't get an Aliyah. Because he always wanted that, and with a small one like that, anybody could pick up. So he was close to 100. So when he came to, and then what do you call it? Then he did Hagbah. He still did Hagbah.
All right. Now let's just see the Mishabur over here because this is a fast. We again, I just a comment on today's society. We don't have this idea of kissing things, and it's like not part of our psyche. And giving kedusha, having reverence, it's I'm not saying that it's lacking, but it's not there. In other words, if you'd see a person who when I was a little kid, it was an older person. Today, let's say be 120. So the guy, you see them kiss a mezuzah. See mashu. You remember when you were a kid? It was a ritual. You throw a kiss. We don't have derech eretz. All right. This that there's a question about Shar Svarim, it's only if they have the other elements that make them into a sefer. Al Svarim Shalano, Shano Nichtav Ba'ifin Zel, Kuliyal Mutter, Afilu Koilim Tila. They don't have halacha that you need matila in order to touch them. Yudavka b'stam yadayim. Alu kishiyada shanaga b'makom matinaifes yesh lahachmer.
That's an individual thing. That means you have to, you yourself should be careful that you shouldn't touch Sefer Torah if you're
not Sefer Torah. A chumash, a gemara, anything. If your hands are not, it doesn't have the din of a sefer, so then this halacha doesn't apply. But you should have that reverence that if your hands are dirty, you shouldn't touch them. Kedin, Kigon Megillah. That's the meaning. Gam ke nogo oilam lahakol. Samar amad bezev tov lahachmer im lo yot yadav. If you don't watch your hands. V'tzad lemer shehem stam yadayim. We're talking about stam yadayim. What does stam yadayim mean? Stam yadayim means I'm going to tell you a question that I don't have an answer to. It's just that's the way it is. You're not allowed to learn if you touch Makayim Samachus. So if I'm going from learning to davening, is there any reason I have to wash my hands? No. But the halach is you have to wash your hands anyways, because maybe you touch something. Because the chiyuv of the tefillah for tefillah is machayev you to be mistapik, even though you were just a second ago learning with the idea. That's the way it is. Yeah, but that's true. But this is I many times I have this suffix. How long before davening can you wash your hands for davening? Sometimes I'll go into a shul and I'll come in 15 minutes early and I'll sit down and learn. So I would rather wash my hands when I come in and sit down and learn, and when they start davening. Not sure that that's okay.
No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because then somebody will see that here you're sitting and learning, and you're supposed to wash your hands even after you learn. So they'll say, "Oh, you don't have to see it."
Let's say there's nobody who knows. There's a question about etzem. Is how long anything that you're doing something which occupies you could be as a problem. I don't know how long. Here we have you wash your hands before you duchen, right? What are you doing? Your hands are dirty. You touch something. Finish Shmona Esrei, and what? Hopefully not, right? This is actually discussed in Hilchos Yom Kippur. You're supposed to wash your hands or not because your hands are supposed to be clean the whole time. And we're cheap on washing on Yom Kippur. Anyways. Well, but it's not exactly that. Still, it's a good question. There is discussion about that in Hilchos Nesias Kapayim. Okay. So Stam Yadayim means that you know that they're clean, but they weren't clean. Stam Yadayim means I was learning, and then I daven. That's called Stam Yadayim. They're clean, but they're not with a din. Okay. Now the Gemara says Hagoylel, says the Mishabura in the brackets. Who Masharu Karim Hayim Hagba. Shahu Iker Hagoylel. Now, just for make this clear, if you go to Sardi Shul, you understand why the Goylel is the Magbia. People have to translate it to there, that's what it is. Okay? Now that we'll learn about Hagba, which ways you turn around, the different Ashkenaz and Sfardim, because they're holding the Sefer Torah backwards. We're holding the Sefer Torah backwards. I don't know who's holding it backwards, but it's the Sfardi, he holds the Sefer Torah like this. So his face, he's facing the back of the Sefer Torah. Ashkenazim, when you do a Hagba, you're facing the front of the Sefer Torah. Right? So just so everything is backwards. All right. Agav, just stop on this subject. Fascinating subject, which the Chazanishniks, when they, and I'm telling this to you now, you'll see why, because we'll learn about it a little bit today. When they take the Sefer Torah out of the Oren and they carry it, or they sit down after Hagba, they hold the Sefer Torah the exact opposite of the way we do. We have the back of the Sefer Torah to us, and the front of the Sefer Torah to the Kahal. And they say that that's not their hertz. And there's written on this, there's a lot written on this subject, which way it's supposed to be. Everything is a thing. You understand? And now we're going to see in a minute. Okay. We're going to show us that he's supposed to do it. God Eloi. Torah does not have to be a person who late. God Eloi. הוא מכיר עדיף, אך שלא נשאל לדעתי בזה, ומחד נאף אנושים ביניהם, משום דרכי שלום. We even give it to ביניהם, to do Hagba. ואם יש שני יורצייטים ביום אחד, אחד על התורה, יש לך ולשני בהגבה.
Yeah, but nowadays...
It doesn't work.
I want the Aliyah. Oh, yeah.
I always want to know, he wants the Aliyah because he doesn't want the other guy to get it? Or because he wants the Aliyah?
No, he wants the Aliyah.
No, he didn't stand. But
I know. But
what happens is many times, you say, you can go wait to the next minion and get an Aliyah there. So I'll take off.
I mean, of course, the answer I give is the biggest cover is the fact that you should be machlokas and you should be
That's true. That's 100% true. That's but that's taka true. But this is what you're saying is true and it's right, and the person should be vata and all that. But all you did was divert the frustration.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the person feels that he chipped his parents. All right. Anyways,
It's any cooler to give those mitzvahs to someone that's got Shalom Shabbos, or it's got the same din as reading from the Torah.
you can please inform me what's the din about reading from the Torah.
I heard you're not allowed to call it someone that's got Shalom Shabbos.
Okay.
That's a strong statement.
No, he said he heard that.
I know.
I believe I heard that.
I believe it.
You could say now that you've heard that there are those who say you're allowed. Right. What?
I didn't realize
It's a machlokes. I'll just tell you something fascinating. Many times, these kind of issues, so I a lot of times look to see ma nogu alma. What's the meaning in Klal Yisrael? You give a guy a Aliyah, you don't give a Aliyah. So first time I had this question, I asked my father, I said, do we give a person who's not a Shem Shabbos an Aliyah? So he jumped down my throat and says, who told you to ask? What are you laughing about? Guy comes to shul. No. It's way, the answer that my father gave is such an important answer. Most of the people, and I can make something clear, okay? I had this question about somebody with the wine on the table that's a Machal Shabbos, if it makes it into whatever you want to call that yain. I don't want to get what? So call yain, call stam yain, call whatever you want. I'm not getting involved. So the person had a whole shtickle Torah to say why that even the person of Shabbos, you can let him touch it, and it could be that wasn't. She asked me, "What do I have to say?" I said, "I don't really get the question. Who are you concerned about?" So he said, "Well, you're talking about the person who was a Shaino Pirish." So I said, "A Shaino Pirish? So he knows the rules of the game. You don't have to be compromising to him. Tell him not to touch it. He knows. It's not insulting. He's not. He knows. The person who doesn't know could be Zatina Shinishma. Knows who? Where is the question coming up most of the time? And I'll just say this. I'm right now speaking to people from Chutz La'aretz. I know that because I'm speaking in English. Most irreligious people that you know would not be Mechal Shabbos in front of a rabbi. They wouldn't. Maybe they don't know what Mechal Shabbos means. That's a different question. But they would not be Mechal Shabbos in front of a rabbi. And according to Mishnah Berurah, for many halachas, that's not called Mechal Shabbos B'Hesed. So now, when somebody says the guy's a Mechal Shabbos, I'm not sure he's Mechal Shabbos. Even if he's Mechal Shabbos. Now you come from South Africa, right? They would never be Mechal Shabbos in front of a rabbi, would they? What? South Africa, for some reason, the Yetzer Horus and Midas laws doesn't exist. And all the South Africans have wonderful Midas Taivas. But they would never do such a thing in front of a rabbi.
Going to shul on Rosh Hashanah, he said, let's park the car around the corner. Shul to the rabbi. He said, let's start there.
That's it. As I'm not right now. This is not a halachic discussion. I'm just saying. So my father says, "Who said? Why are you asking?" No, it's even when you'll find out that he's a Mechal Shabbos, could be he's not a Mechal Shabbos. And why do you have to ask? Why do you have to ask? Why can't you assume a guy? Why do you assume people are not Shemer Shabbos? So now that's a little bit of a ridiculous question if you live in Tucson, Arizona, right? Because the stoma is version that he is a Mechal Shabbos. It depends where you are, where it is. But that's what he told me. He says, "Why you ask?" Maybe, but why are you starting off? Why are you starting off bad? All right. Anyways, now I'd just like to read. I want to really read the Sefer Kol Boy. The minig in Klal Yisrael is that when the Sefer Torah comes out, people accompany the Sefer Torah, and the Kol Boy discusses, and little kids are supposed to kiss the Sefer Torah. There's a whole procession that goes on, and that's the Inyan of Kavod Torah and the Mechanech V'Chiyuv Mitzvahs. It didn't come from nowhere. The Rishonim already brought it down, and I'm mentioning it over here because the Mishnah Berurah which we're about to see. Why? You can't give it to a guy who can't perform the chore. And this again is a problem that some people do hagla so quickly that you can't see the ksav you're supposed to see. You should try to put it down. Okay. Who gets it? Why? Because might is right. That's 100% wrong what I said. Why you give it to because of money instead of giving it to Torah? What's the point? The point is you want to be machabed the mitzvahs. So there's two ways to do it. One is you give it to Talmid Chacham. The other way is to give it, sell it to Dam Yikor. It's a different way of being machabed the mitzvahs. If you're just giving it out, you should really give it to the gadol. What does it mean, Broivam Hadras Melech? The more people that are Isaac in the procession, so that adds cover to it that you're giving Mechaber people to move it along. Where do we see this kind of a concept? It's a Mishnah in Saita that discusses the Zakan and the Yuma also, right? You give it the Nasi gives it to the Zakan, the Zakan gives it to the Kohen, and so on and so forth. The more that you pass the buck to people along the way, so it shows that there's a chashivas into what's going on. You're climbing the pyramid, so to speak. This is an important idea. All right. Now, remember, I told you something about the Chazanishniks and holding the Sefer Torah. Now we're going to see a fascinating halacha in the Rambam. Really, truly a fascinating halacha. And before we see it inside, I'm going to ask the question. No cheating. Person has a me'il for the Sefer Torah. One side is a nice cloth, and the other side, or the lining side, is a less expensive cloth. How should you dress the Sefer Torah? Would you wrap it with the expensive side to the Sefer Torah? Or would you wrap it with the expensive side to the Am? That's not an answer. I'm not interested in what you have to say. With such a comment, you're puzzled.
I would get to the outside because you want people to see the beauty of it on the outside. If you have something so not so nice on the outside, people say, "Oh, look at the Sefer Torah." This gives more cover to the Sefer Torah.
Why not do it like that on the Kodesh, which is gold inside, gold outside, the same?
Yeah, but it's different.
This is what you have.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you what to make.
Yeah.
Of course you do it gold inside, gold outside.
You could, but yeah.
I asked, this is what I have. I didn't ask you what one should do. I don't know what to do. I'll ask you. Right, this is what I have. You want to donate one?
I'd love to.
What do you say? I don't care about what he said. I asked, what do you think?
Should be all the way around. Make small.
Why is that? What are you being mechaber? You know what he is? He's an American. That was an insult. Why are you
I know,
smiling?
right? I still have some American in me,
Okay. It's covered for real, or it's covered at dinner?
I understand that, but if you have something which is not nice.
1 second. It's covered at dinner or covered for real?
Is it covered Dimian?
Yeah. In America, after Masada Kedushin, what's the next most important keyword?
These
Kriyas Ksuba.
Susan.
You know what is the least important keyword in Eretz Yisrael? Kriyas Ksuba. It's nothing. It's nothing. In Europe, it was done by the Shamas. But you know what? It doesn't make a difference. If that's what people think is Mechubed, then it is. Because covered is Dimyon. That's one way to look at it. Okay? Now, is Shishi more important or is Shlishi more important? So that could very well be that that's the reason why. If you have to be at like a Talmud Chacham, it could be the Tzura, it's got to be a Talmud Chacham. It could be that that's the reason. But the bottom line is also it's a narrative. You know, you're up there for a long time. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not right now discussing. You know, cover a kofi on the vayish on this vayish. What people expect to be the most important key, but that's what it is, and that in a certain sense. But there is also covered be'etzem. Covered be'etzem means that there's nobody there. That's what we were talking about the last time. You stand up on your Shabbos set when you're talking on the phone to the person who doesn't know what you're doing. Why? Because you have to be mechaber. What is my responsibility? To be mechaber the Sefer Torah, or to have people think that the Sefer Torah is mechuber? How come you're not smiling at me?
I understand. Of course, it's the mechaber Torah. There's no question about it.
So I be mechaber the people.
You're not mechaber the people. The eyes are seeing something. It's like if you should put a parochas on you that was shabby or something like that. Because you should make sure that inside the Sefer Torah is covered with something nice. You want to have something nice also because they look it over you like, oh, this.
I only have one shot to go. Which side gets nice?
I still say the outside.
Why?
Because the appearance of something is also being mechabed
also, which is primary.
Also, the way we conceive it is, look at even the Aron Kodesh. It had the keter necessarily on the outside, not a keter on the inside.
That has to be on top, right?
In the base of Hamikdash, what was Tzafui Zahav? Which parts were? There was the parts that weren't because they weren't visible.
Because they weren't visible?
If they weren't visible,
Sure.
the part behind where you open the doors.
Parents, you just made that up.
No, that was behind where they opened the doors.
They
They
had
said
no shortage. They had no shortage of money. They could have made everything out of Zoltar. Don't tell my grandpa cheap.
It's not because they're cheap, but there was no reason to put it there, so they didn't put it there.
It's a Mishnah and Midos.
What's a Mishnah Midos?
The back of the doors, the folding doors, were not covered with gold because of Chasa al Mamon Shel Yisrael, because they couldn't see it.
So you just said the opposite. You said the opposite of what you said.
Maybe.
No, you understand what I'm saying?
No. But I wouldn't disagree with you.
Okay. The right thing should be that it should be gold through and through. That would be the proper cover. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu viter out of consideration for us. But it should be through and through. Isn't that what you just said?
But where he was mivater is the important thing.
0. Where was he mivater?
He was mivater where people wouldn't see it specifically.
Obviously.
So how come the Aron?
Let's see right now the Ramah.
So we have an Aron that was from gold, and it was behind Kodesh Kadoshim. Who saw it? Once a year, the Kohen.
Not only that,
what
did they have to make it gold, wood, gold? Just make one out of gold, and you don't have to. Much cheaper and better. Why have it gold plated on both sides? Just make it one. There's a reason why it had to have 8 in the middle. Anyways. Wait a minute, it's made out of silver on the inside too. Let's see the Ramah. You have a me'il that one side is pishton and one side is silk. You have to do the pretty side in. V'lo nag okay.
Okay. Okay, good.
We're going to take out the Aruch HaShulchan in a minute. Let's see what's going to happen. V'lo nag okay. Ve'ein liglal v'mapa karua and yesh lo acher. Ve'ein natzas mapas sefer Torah midvar yesharim shenasan davar acher l'tzarech hek. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Kami'il v'hainu mi'il atachton shu amap. Mi'il ha'mi'il el yankul yal ma'in lahapko v'atam b'chol zed mi'il l'chatchil l'asas dumi the oren shoyim b'fnim mitzupa zov. It has to be like the oren b'fnim mitzupa zov. Okay. What do we have in our meal? What's the inside? Lining. Inside. Why, of course.
Covered on both ways.
No! The question is, you see, there's a point, which way is the covered, and that's why you have to do it. If it would be unanimous that the covered is for it to be on the inside, nobody would have said that the outside has to look nice. And if the look would be that the covered is on the outside, nobody would have said that the inside has to be nice. You don't just spend money. It's because there's a machlokes. Not because why not? I'm reading what it says. All right? I work for them.
Could you explain, please, why the inside is covered if you don't see it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because the Sefer Torah is on the inside. It's not kavod. That's why I said there's kavod dimyoni and there's kavod amiti. We stand up. I don't know if you're at that chair. We stand up and speak to God over on the telephone, even though He doesn't know. Were you there when we discussed that?
Yes, I was there, and I was there about the Bikurim as well. Yes.
Okay. All right. Have a good night. Okay.